I want to do a quick little review about how compressors and EQs work on the O2R, or maybe it's the first time you've seen this. But basically, for each channel, you've got the selected channel section. So you select the layer, and then you select the channel that you want to affect. And you have a gate and a compressor and an EQ on every single channel. So all you do is you select the layer that you want to have, and you select what channel you want to be accessing, and then this will be for that channel here. And on the screen, it will show you in the upper right-hand corner what channel you're actually accessing. So we've got here, and I've just got this diagram here, and I've got this picture here. Who is Bobcats? We'll come back. We'll talk about Bobcats in a little bit there, Nico, and kind of explain to you why Bobcats is so cool. But here we've got the dynamics section and we've got the EQ section. I've got it here. This is what it looks like directly on the console itself, but this is like a little easier to see kind of diagram of it that I'd like to show you here. And I'm going to go ahead and just pull it over like this so you can see what's going on with this thing. All right, so basically the EQ is on by default. So your EQ is always going to be on by default for every single channel, but it's a digital EQ. It's a very clean EQ, so when it's on by default, it's not actually affecting that sound any. And then you've got 4 bands here, and these 4 bands are you got the low mid, the high mid, and the high. And the low and the high are shelves, or they can be a low cut or a high cut. So you can change that by using the Q knob, and change the Q knob and turn it all the way over, and it'll become a cut instead of like a shelf. So you got the low shelf and the high shelf here, same as what you had on the Audient. The low shelf and the high shelf are the same as the Audient. The only difference is that the low shelf and the high shelf are fully parametric instead of just parametric. So that means you've got control of the Q here as well. Then you've got low, mid, and low, high. And the low, mid, and low, high, these are again fully parametric bell curves. So you can select your frequency, you can select your gain, how much gain you're going to use, and then you can also select the bandwidth, which is the Q knob here. The reason why it's called Q is because they just didn't have another letter that they wanted to use that wasn't being used already, so they just called it Q. They couldn't call it B for bandwidth because that's already being used, I guess, maybe. I'm not really sure. I just know that Q, the story behind it is Q was just one that wasn't being used. They just used it. As far as I know. But you've got this here, the frequency, the gain, the Q, and you push the frequency button here to change between your frequency, high, low frequencies, or the bandwidth adjust. And that's your EQ there. Then you have your dynamics here. You have a gate and a compressor, and those are not on by default. You have to push the button to turn them on for each channel. And then what you can do is you have this one set of knobs here, these one set of encoders to control both the gate or the compressor, and you can just push this button right here to flip back and forth between the gate and the compressor here. The gate is this one here, the compressor is this one here, just whichever one is illuminated, which one you're using. That's pretty self-explanatory, I think. Then you got the threshold, range, attack, decay, and hold for each one. Again, here threshold, ratio, attack, release, and gain for the compressor here. Those are your basic controls for every kind of compressor or gate that's out there. So there's nothing really fancy here. There's nothing really unexpected here. It all just kind of works like this. So that's, I mean, it's a really quick thing to talk about. Really what you just need to do is just kind of go in and mess around with it and try it out and see how it works. Because it works, it's not tricky. It's actually very obvious how it works in here. So there's nothing strange about this at all. Okay, cool.